Hey everyone, Paul and Jason with Cryptoversity. Jason, good day to you. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing great. How you doing?
Doing wonderful. Guys, if you find any education or value to this, please like and subscribe below. It helps us help you. And remember, we're not financial advisors, so please do your own research. Jason, man, we've been talking about this for the last four episodes, and I think you're kind of spot on because look at the market today. It's crashing. I've been asking you on pretty much every episode, are we in a bull market? Are we in a bull trap? And you've been preaching the same thing, right? Stay conservative, don't jump in on the FOMO and don't fall for the crypto Twitter and all that stuff. What's going on here? Do you have any insight for me?
Yeah, Paul. I think it was our 2 episodes ago when we saw Doge or Shiba Inu pump. That was the that was the red flag. Well, that's when retail shows up, and we called it. We said whales were going to take profit, and this is what taking profit looks like. And right now, Bitcoin's at barely hanging on to 21,000. Ethereum just touched 16,900. These are massive corrections. Doge is down over 10% today. Almost all coins south of Ethereum are down about 10% or more. And I think the point, excuse me, sorry. Let me get a little drink here.
No problem, man.
I think, I think what the viewers can take away from this is why cryptoversity is here. We know that the mass majority of people in crypto have only entered in the last year.
Mm.
So they haven't had several years of cycles and bull markets and bear markets to learn how these things operate. So when a guy like me who's been in crypto for many years and I see Bitcoin's up, Ethereum's up, Matic's up 275%. Oh, and look, Shiba Inu went up 30%. I know what comes next. It's a cycle of psychological patterns, and they are structured by whales to get retail investors to act a certain way, and it's highly effective. And that's really what's going on. This is pretty predictable. If you're listening to another YouTube, influencer, and they're telling you what you want to hear, like, oh yeah, we're back in the bull run, that's crazy talk. For anyone to say something like that in these kinds of environment, this economical environment, it's crazy talk, and it lets me know they're telling you what you want to hear, so you'll subscribe because you're more likely to subscribe if you're listening to a guy who tells you what you want to hear.
Yeah.
But Cryptoversity is here to tell you what you need to hear. And what you need to hear means profit in your portfolio. We're not trying to make the skies blue when they're not. We're trying to give you the education you need to make money long term.
Could not have said it better myself, man. It's like these bear markets, we're trying to survive, right? You're not trying to gain profits and stuff during these bear markets.
Paul, you nailed it. The number one rule of bear markets, if you ask any seasoned investor, number one rule in a bear market is to survive. You want to have capital ready when we hit the bull market.
Yeah.
What happens to a lot of uneducated investors is they scramble so much and they get messed up in the whale game so much that by the time the bull market comes, they've been demolished. And they don't have the capital to take advantage.
Yeah.
So when a bull market comes, you can make money on anything. Like you can throw a dart at any coin and you can do 100x on it. That's how easy it is. Everyone's a genius in a bull market. It's easy, super easy. Bear markets are difficult. Survival is key. Yeah.
It's a really good point, man.
Nice.
Let me ask you something. So I'm wondering if Mount Gox has anything to do with this. What's your thoughts?
That's a great question, Paul. So for the viewers who may not be familiar with the Mount Gox situation, it was Mount Gox was the biggest and pretty much the only crypto exchange many years ago. This is pretty much before cold storage was a thing, and there weren't a lot of coins. Like Bitcoin was pretty much the only coin at that point. And most people bought from Mount Gox and kept their coins at Mount Gox. Well, Mount Gox got hacked,
Wow.
and the exchange went insolvent. And to be honest with you, most people saw it, me included, that was the end of crypto because so many people got wiped out. Like it was devastating. It made Terra Luna look like child's play. Well, for years now. So the authorities got involved. They found the mass majority of the Bitcoin.
Mhm.
They've been in the legal process of getting this Bitcoin back to its rightful owners, and it's taken several years. Well, now that's happening. I think they're starting to release the Mount Gox coins next week, maybe a week and a half,
Wow.
and it's dangerous. And the reason why it's dangerous is there's a ton of Bitcoin. Like that's a lot of Bitcoin, and there's a good chance that a lot of these people have been waiting for this Bitcoin for years. There's a good chance a lot of them are going to sell and get their cash.
Because they're probably heavily in the profit, right? So,
Heavily in the profit, and they thought this money was gone, right?
wow, yeah,
So, I mean, you're looking at a lot of selling pressure. And if Bitcoin's just barely hanging on to 21,000 now, you have a bunch of selling pressure from the Mount Gox coins that could easily push Bitcoin back down to 20 or sub 20. So it's concerning. No one really knows what's really going to happen with the Mount Gox coins. Maybe they don't sell, who knows? But the potential of danger is there as far as price action.
yeah, yeah. That Mount Gox sounds like it was like the first Black Swan event.
It was like I said, I'm shocked when people ask me now, is like, is crypto ever going to go away? I'm like, look, it survived Mount Gox. It's going nowhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so that kind of leads to the next point. Is the Fed minutes? Does that have something to do with it? Because I know that that's going on right now. So,
Yeah, the Fed minutes from the last meeting were released yesterday. And for those of you unfamiliar, every time the Federal Reserve, the FOMC meets, they eventually produce the Fed minutes, which records everything that was said. And super serious investors go over those minutes very carefully to look at any kind of insight on what the Feds are going to do in the future.
mhm.
Because the Feds do give you insight. They don't want to blindside investors. So they do give little hints. And the minutes came out yesterday, and they were they were hawkish, which means that there's a good chance next month the Feds will increase interest rates again by 75 basis points, which offsets. Remember last week when we talked, and like the CPI numbers came out just a little bit under what they're expected, and then the markets went crazy because the markets thought that that'd be the new trend of decreasing inflation, which means that the Feds would have less incentive to continue increasing interest rates.
Yeah,
And the Fed minutes came out and pretty much just nipped that one in the butt and let us know that they are not done.
that's interesting because I was going to ask you with everything that's going on in the market, right? You got Mount Gox, you have the Fed minutes, then you have September, right on the cusp. I was going to ask you what my outlook is for September because this is a pretty good indication of everything you've been preaching for the last few episodes. Just you nailed it right on the head, and I think that it's obvious what my outlook is, but I'll let you elaborate on it because I'm a little unsure.
I think September is going to be Rektember.
Oh, really?
I think it's going to be bad. I think it's going to be ugly. I think when you put all this into perspective, there's so many things that don't look good for September. One, housing. Housing is starting to show how bad it is, the American housing condition, and plus you have the Chinese housing condition. These things are starting to show how bad they are. And September usually is when, in a healthy housing market, things start to decline because people stop buying homes as they want to buy homes before school starts, right?
Yeah.
Schools usually start by September. But housing's already started to decline before September. So we can imagine the September decline is going to be much more dramatic than usual. Just give me another thing that no one's really talking about that's a huge red flag for me is that year over year, refinances are down by over 85%. Refinances are a major source of income for banks, which lets me know that banks aren't performing well.
Yeah.
We have the whole buy the news, buy the rumor, sell the news event with the ETH merge. That's going to be a big letdown for a lot of retail investors who think that ETH's just going to go through the roof on that day, and I don't think it will.
Yeah.
And then you have the Federal Reserve. I think they're meeting on the 16th to most likely announce a 75 basis point inflation interest rate hike.
Yeah.
All these events combined together, it'll feel like a rug pull. because retail investors are so like convinced that things have turned around and we're back on the right track and the ETH merge is going to take us there and all this stuff. And I just don't see any reason to believe why any of that's true at this point. And I think the euphoria we felt this month will be offset by the dramatic decline of next month. Yeah.
That's a little scary. I mean, it's just, I'm glad I've been on the sidelines per your recommendations, just because all these market conditions, the economic conditions, it's scary. I mean, there's so much to it. There's so many black swan events and so much negative things out there just kind of waiting for the house of cards to come tumbling down, it seems like, and it's just being held up by tape at this point. I mean,
I'll give you an example, Paul. And I consider myself, I try very hard to educate myself every day on these things. Like I never stop. You know that about me, right? Um, I fall for these things. I remember when, what was it, last April, when Coinbase was listed on the public stock exchange, which is the first crypto project ever listed, which gives crypto credibility. And they were sending out the pre-launch numbers of the estimate of how much Coinbase is going to be worth based on how much is the public buys of it. And it was in the like something crazy, like $250 billion range. It was nuts. And I was so convinced that this was going to give traditional investors a measuring stick to measure crypto projects in value. Now that we have a Coinbase value, that means that Binance should be worth way more, and this and this and this. I was so convinced. I got caught blindsided, and you can go back in history and watch the day that Coinbase hit. That was the decline of crypto, and it was a month later that Bitcoin was down by 50%. So these events catch you off guard. Yeah. They really do, and even the most seasoned investors fall for these things. But that's when you need to be really careful, because if it seems like the news is so amazing that's going to change. Look, the ETH merge is amazing, and over time it will have a dramatic price effect on ETH for sure. 5 years from now, ETH is going to be a monster. It's probably going to be worth more than Bitcoin as far as market cap, right? But the 3 months after the merge, it's probably just going to go down in value a little bit. It's because the news has happened, the euphoria is gone, and the air kind of leaves the room,
Yeah, and it's not even so much about ETH's merge. It has not that doesn't fix market conditions. It doesn't fix economy. It's just it could trade sideways for 3 months, but it's, just based on the hype and stuff. But at the end of the day, a lot of retail investors are thinking, which most do think this when projects talk about announcing new NFTs and different things. Oh, it's gonna moon the coin. It usually doesn't. It actually usually does the exact opposite. I remember a company, Pegaxi, had something similar happen like this, where everyone was anticipating that their coin was going to just skyrocket after this big event that they threw.
It was the Valentine breeding event. Yeah.
And that was really the end of Pegaxi, as crazy as it is. Like that event just pitfalled the entire project.
Yeah. So if you stick around and learn about investing, there's certain sayings that kind of stick in the air, and you learn them to be true. Like, for example, the trend is your friend. The trend right now is bear market. The trend is your friend until the end. So until you see a bull market confirmation, you really shouldn't get too excited about too much. There's this other saying that's hilarious. I'll give you an example. I was at the car room with my buddy one day, and my buddy is a super smart investor in crypto, but also in other things. And the chip runner comes over, and this guy knew nothing about investing, but he says to my friend, he goes, "Hey man, I just bought some Bitcoin. I'm super excited. We're gonna get rich." My buddy looks at me and goes, "Time to sell." And what he was saying is that whenever your barber starts telling you about a stock, it's time to sell that stock.
That's funny.
And the reason why that is the euphoria. This is like the Doge retail showing up. When retail shows up and they're super excited, knowledgeable, educated investors, they get scared.
Yeah.
Because they know that's usually the peak, right?
Yeah. When your neighbor starts hearing about it, it's you need to get out because your neighbor knows nothing about crypto. So if he's hearing about it or some project, that means everyone's heard about it at this point.
Yeah. Yeah.
Pretty
It's
funny
tough.
analogy.
It's tough for new investors. It really is, because the psychology is so embedded in your DNA to hear something that's positive and think there's going to be a positive action out of it, and not to realize that things in investing, in order for you to be successful, you have to do everything opposite. You have to buy when you're scared and you have to sell when you're excited. And that's so difficult for people to wrap their head around, because it's just not human nature.
Yeah.
But I promise you, if you just watch the whales, the super smart money, this is exactly what they do.
Yeah, it's taken me a long time to, and I still fall victim to it because it's just so hard to train yourself to stick to that. Like
Yeah.
buy when you're scared, sell when you're happy. It's like what? Why am I doing the opposite of what I'm supposed to do? But that's just the nature of investing in crypto. That's how the whales do it. So
I'll give you an example, Paul. Me and you both have played poker. I think that's where we met, was playing poker, right?
yeah.
You go to a poker room, and if you ask 100 people how you should play a monster hand, let's say you flop quads.
Mhm.
You ask 100 people, they're all 99% of those people are going to say the exact same thing. You check, and then you check raise. That's what they're all going to say. And the fact that 99% of the people say it, that's the way to do it, lets you know it's the wrong way to do it. Because if everyone believes that's how it's going to be played out, then it's officially incorrect. And this is the whole theory behind investing. If everyone's investing a certain way, it then becomes, you have to be you have to be a contrarian investor,
Mhm.
because not everybody makes money, right? Like, for every seller, there's a buyer. For every winner, there's a loser. So everybody can't be a winner. So in order for you to be the winner, you have to be the contrarian thinker. And poker and investing are the same like that. They really are. If everyone thinks that the ETH merger is going to pump ETH to the moon, and no matter what the market conditions, then you should think the other way.
Short it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You short it, right? Yeah, yeah. Sure.
No, but all jokes aside, it makes a lot of sense. And I know that that's kind of your background and why you're so good at this. You can read the markets, you can understand the economics behind it. And it's a beautiful thing to be a part of for me. I love watching you work.
Thanks, man. I appreciate
Yeah.
that.
But guys, thank you for being here. Cryptoversity, we're really just here to teach you everything you need to know about crypto. So you feel educated, you feel like you have peace of mind over everything about crypto. And we're not always going to tell you what you want to hear because that's not a winning recipe in crypto. So we do appreciate you, Jason. Thanks for taking the time today. And
Oh,
see you
yeah.
tomorrow.
As always, Paul, I appreciate you. See you tomorrow.
All right, brother. Thank you.